So, last month, to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Bros., Nintendo announced and released a brand new collection of 3 classics in gaming: Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, all for the Nintendo Switch, making these 3 easily accessible. No more do you have to load up Project 64 or Dolphin and play these with all sorts of extra knickknacks and tools to raise your experience. No longer do you have to pull out the old and dusty N64 to find your cartridge lying around. It's right there, just shut up and play it.
Now, I played through Galaxy very slowly because I was working on the Jack of the Clown video and just tons of schoolwork. And at the time of recording this video, I'm also playing through Sunshine right now. But I'm saving 64 for last because, unlike Sunshine and Galaxy, I feel like 64 got the lesser part of the deal, you know?
If you're not looking for an enhanced rendition of your favorite 120-star run, then by God, you'll be playing your heart out. And usually I would go right into that category, but this time, I'm curious to see if there's anything better. So, today, we're gonna find out the answer to one question. What is the best way to play Super Mario 64? Well, you might be thinking, what about the original? Obviously not. The Switch edition has upscaled textures and even upscales the game to 720p, unlike the original which ran at 480p. But the original brings a warm sense of nostalgia that even someone like me, a dumb child born in 2004, can relate to.
What?
It's just a relaxing feeling popping in the cartridge and running around in Peach's castle without a care in the world. Speaking of, that wasn't even the only version of 64 released on original hardware. Let me introduce you to the Shindou port of Super Mario 64, released just a year after the original in 1997. An update to the game featuring Rumble support, adding more clips of Charles Martinet's incredible performance of Mario that wasn't in the original release, and even more little changes and bug fixes, including removing the BLJ. The game only released in Japan, because of course this version came after the American release. It added much of the features that were in the American release that weren't in the original Japanese release. And it's also the version that Nintendo based 3D All-Stars on. Neato. What about Super Mario 64 DS? DS was released in 2004 as a launch title for Nintendo DS to demonstrate 3D worlds into a tiny thing.
This is how I first played the original game, and turns out it was my first game, like, ever, that I've ever played. And goddamn, is it good.
It adds even more new changes and fixes, along with some really cool new content. Luigi, Wario, and even Yoshi are all playable. There's a new 4-player multiplayer versus mode, mini-games, and updated graphics and voice clips. There's even a few new bosses as well.
My only gripe about the game is the controls, which I'm sure everyone is aware of at this point. You use the D-pad to move around, but you have to use the Y button to run. I'm sure everyone knows this by now.
Obviously, if you're playing this on the 3DS, then the circle pad would feel more authentic, but you would still be running around in 8 directions. So we talked about probably the 2 main ones, 64 and 64 DS. Both of these games have their ups and downs, but in the end I think they're both really, really good. And even then, they're both on Virtual Console for Wii U, and the Wii only has 64, but let's talk about them real quick.
Now, obviously you all know my thoughts on Virtual Console as a whole, but what are my thoughts on the games on Virtual Console?
Honestly, I have no idea what they did, but both 64 and DS, along with pretty much most of the Virtual Console games for some reason, have this weird filter effect on it that makes the colors look washed out or something. Like this. Other than that, there's nothing really to write home about, like, at all. This is basically the original games verbatim, except obviously the multiplayer features in DS were removed, but like, that would be obvious. But what if I told you that there are even more ways to play this beloved classic game? That's right, everybody, we're going into the realm of... the horror! I'll leave my stances on emulation for another video, but emulating Mario 64 is one of the simplest ways to play the game. There it is. Now you can play it, right? Well, if you want to play a version that looks sharper, then there you go. You can use any controller, or if you're a madman, use a keyboard for it. You can stream it easily, you know, the works. That works fine and dandy, but let me introduce you to, in my opinion, the best, but very illegal way to play the game. The PC port. This version of the game has seemingly come out of nowhere as it quickly spread across sites like YouTube, Twitter, and Reddit quietly earlier this year. This is probably the result of Mario 64 being decompiled sometime in 2019, giving modders and programmers access to its inner workings. So much so that with this decompilation, there's ports of this on the Dreamcast, the PSP, and don't ask me how, but even on MS-DOS. You can now play the original Super Mario 64 on a homebrewed 3DS. It's not even that hard to set up either and runs pretty damn good on my laptop from 2012. While setting it up, you can allow small changes like an extended settings tab allowing you to remove the HUD, remap buttons, and a free camera. And even then, you can add little patches and mods to really make the game shine, like this mod that gives Mario more moves and abilities, including the godsend that is a better wall jump, Kirsty of the Gag 97, or this mod by this guy that allows you to do this. If you're interested in more of this stuff, then I suggest you go follow them on Twitter. The port is still being updated to this day and can even allow you to play the game with a friend throughout the entire game. Pretty damn cool.
So after all that, what's her answer? Well, if you're a lame person who wants to play it safe, then I guess 64 and DS are both wonderful options, and you should check both of them out.
Like I said earlier, they're at least available in the Wii U Virtual Console, but like, man, if you don't care about all that and want to just get straight into the illegal shit, then boy, the PC port is your option. Like, oh my god, dude. Stuff like this, along with Sonic 3 Air and better SADX, is what I live for. Essentially, completely upgrading the original product into something that's infinitely more enjoyable.
If you're a lame-o who just wants to play the game unmarked, then by all means, go back to the original. It's totally fine, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Hello!
Oh, hey Mario, I was just talking about your favorite game, Super Mario 64, you know? Oh, no. That's an MP4 file. That's not actually the real game.
Yeah! Ooh! Woohoo! Yeah! Game over! Ooh! Mm.
Well, that takes care of that.